Hey everyone, here's what's coming up tonight on News Center Now. We're getting some more answers regarding a case where charges were dropped in a deadly crash from April.
Well, I'm sure happy summer is here, but my dog is not. She hates the heat, and she's not alone. In fact, summer can be troubling for a lot of dogs for a lot of reasons. Tonight, we'll talk about that and have some tips to keep your dog stress-free. This is News Center Now.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us. I'm Lindsay Mills.
And I'm Lee Nelson. We're glad you're with us this Friday evening. In the news, the man who authorities say was behind the wheel in that deadly crash in Gray is no longer facing charges. Jay Westra was initially charged with operating under the influence in an April crash that killed a mother of 4.
Now the charges are dropped after results from a blood test revealed he was driving under the legal limit. We spoke with Westra's lawyer today, who is raising questions about why his client was charged in the first place.
If Jay could be charged and arrested, then any of us could have been, and that's not really the way the system's supposed to work.
Attorney Walter McKee says he doesn't see what happened to his client happen often.
So we don't often see such a significant charge levied initially that's ultimately totally dismissed.
He says his client, 58-year-old Jay Westra, didn't do anything wrong the April night he was in a crash on Yarmouth Road in Gray.
He was in a road that was dark, it was raining, very difficult to see, and unfortunately an accident happened.
40-year-old Samantha Rinaldi, a mother of 4, was struck and killed. Westra was given a field sobriety test at the scene.
There are key clues that a person will show when they're administered these field sobriety tests that will lead to an opinion for an officer on whether or not that person is under the influence of alcohol. In this matter, the deputy at the scene believed that he had seen those clues and he had formed the opinion that he was under the influence of alcohol.
Westra also consented to a blood draw, which weeks later returned results showing his blood alcohol level was .047, below the legal limit of .08. And with that information, in addition to a further investigation, the DA's office dropped the initial OUI charge. Westra's lawyer says those results prove he was innocent all along.
There's never a reason to rush to judgment, never. In my word to the DA's office is thank you for doing the work that you're really supposed to do and what you did here, which was to do justice.
So the DA also says the investigation did not reveal any evidence of criminal negligence or recklessness to support criminal charges.
Other news we're following this evening, it's been a sad day for the motorcycle community as hundreds have started to pay their respects to those killed in that fiery New Hampshire motorcycle crash last week. Services today were held for Michael Ferrazzi of Contoocook, New Hampshire, and Daniel Pereira of Rhode Island. And a visitation was also held in Laconia for Desma Oakes, who died with her boyfriend in that crash. And that's going to be followed by a celebration of life scheduled for tomorrow. The 3 are among the 7 bikers killed when a pickup truck pulling a trailer ran into the group last Friday. The bikers were part of the Jarheads Motorcycle Club, a group of bikers who served in the Marines. And we're going to have much more about the services coming up tonight on News Center at 6 as well. Police have released some new information about the dog attack that happened in South Portland earlier this week.
We brought you this story yesterday. A woman and a dog were attacked by 2 loose pit bulls. Security footage from the home shows the woman fighting the 2 pit bulls as they got their way under a fence and into the yard. Today, police say the owner of the 2 pit bulls, Heather Geisinger of South Portland, is facing several charges. They include 2 counts of keeping a dangerous dog, a count of dogs at large, and 2 counts of keeping an unlicensed dog. Police also ordered the pit bulls to be confined and restricted to her property until her court date in August. The woman who was attacked had to get 41 stitches on her forearm and hand and more on her leg, and her dog was injured as well.
The Maine Public Utilities Commission has approved an extended investigation into Central Maine Power customers' utility accounts. This as complaints of high electric bills continue to pour in. The Office of the Public Advocate asked regulators to do an additional examination of CMP bills from May of last year to now. The investigation by an independent auditor was prompted after more than 100,000 customers received inaccurate bills following the rollout of CMP's new billing system in October of 2017. The public advocate in Maine, Barry Hobbins, says he thinks Mainers deserve some answers on this.
Well, a lot of people not complaining about this weather today.
Today.
The heat is here, and we like it, but it's really not here to stay very long, is
Well,
it?
the weekend isn't that warm because it's unstable, but
Okay.
overall, it looks pretty warmish
Yeah.
the next week or so.
Good.
So it's gonna be good stuff. By the way, just to update you guys on the betting pool from yesterday, 81 is the official high right now in Portland. So the big under is winning there. Sea breeze is the factor. The only thing, and so we haven't settled this bet yet, and the reason for that is because sometimes when there's a sea breeze, it'll stop at 6 or 7 and the temperature will surge.
Okay.
So we're not pulling the chips in just yet.
All right.
But that's when
All
we
right.
were in Portland, 88 in Sanford, 88 in Freiburg. A lot of us right around 90 degrees. A look at the ocean influence at Cape at 67 degrees, and 80 in Buxton, 83 in Sebago, Parsonsfield at 89 degrees. To the north, we got a thunderstorm coming through into Old Town and Bangor. That's why temperatures are a little bit cooler there, but most of us in the mid 80s. We had some convection fire up, but it's hard to sustain itself. This atmosphere doesn't really want there to be a lot of thunderstorms around. So there's that shower just going through Bangor right now, a couple of them over the mid-coast as well. We briefly had one through Damariscotta that was severe thunderstorm warned, although I don't think it produced any hail or anything that was actually severe. So the rest of tonight looks good, and again there might be a late surge in temperatures along the coastline. Fog rolls back in late tonight along the coast, and a couple of showers possible as well. And tomorrow looks like it has looked all week with generally cloudy showers, thunderstorms. And guys, as I look at the atmosphere tomorrow, I think there's a chance down in this zone, and we'll talk more about this later, for some severe weather. So obviously a big weekend, a lot of people outside. So we'll talk a little bit more detail about what that severe weather could be in a few.
All right, sounds good, Keith. We'll see you in just a bit. It feels like just a few weeks ago, we were cleaning up from the last snowstorm, and now we're talking about the 4th of July already.
Just like that. Record travel is expected next week, of course. AAA predicting the roads will get busy on Wednesday before the holiday. Safety experts say highway travel around the July 4th holiday is different from other holiday travel times because traffic is even more congested. There's also a lot of people moving in a short amount of time, and experts say that creates a perfect storm. But they also warn about drivers who are doing more than just driving behind the wheel. They say distracted driving is magnified when the roads are crowded. More reason to leave devices alone and leave early in the morning.
Put your phone down, right?
It can wait.
Right. We should have a show that's called Put Your Phone Down.
Right, we should.
And this evening, the man accused of arranging the shooting of former Sox star David Ortiz has been arrested in the Dominican Republic. His name is Victor Hugo Gomez. You'll remember Ortiz was shot in the back in a bar in the DR earlier this month. Though police now say they don't think he was the intended target. Police say Gomez actually ordered the killing of his cousin, Sixto Fernandez, but they say the hitmen confused Big Papi with Hernandez. Gomez is believed to have ties to a major drug cartel in Mexico.
Major League Baseball travels across the pond for the first time ever this weekend.
Yeah, this is interesting. The Yankees and the Sox are going to play a couple of regular season games in London. Two teams arrived yesterday and had a little bit of a chance to do some sightseeing, get familiar with the stadium, which has been retrofitted for baseball.
Interesting there, but the two games aren't just for fun. The Yankees lead the Red Sox by 9 games in the American League East, and the race for the division could depend on these two games.
We got a chance to close the gap against the team that we're chasing and makes them even more meaningful, just because we can pick up an entire game as opposed to a half a game. But yeah, these two games and every other game we play after this are extremely important for us to gain ground.
I think for us it's just about enjoying enjoying the workout today, enjoy the past couple of days, getting a chance to check out the city. But once we get between the lines and the game starts, it's game on, and we're going to treat it just like that.
Tomorrow's game is scheduled for 1:10 p.m. Eastern Time. Sunday's game will be played at 10 a.m. also Eastern Time.
It's time for a quick break here, but coming up, we got some tips to keep your pets comfy and stress-free as the temperatures rise.
And maybe as those fireworks go off, too.
Right.
Plus, we heard a lot of claims from the Democrats running for president last night. Tonight, we set out to verify a few of those claims.
Summertime is a great time for us humans. What are we going to be talking about, I wonder? We get to enjoy, you know, fireworks, cookouts with our friends, every now and then a summer storm.
But all of those things can cause our furry friends some serious anxiety. Newsrooms can cause that too.
Yes, they can.
Gina Roth from the Animal Rescue League of Greater Portland is here with us now with some tips. And first, let's get to this guy. Who is this?
This is Waylon, and Waylon has a lot to say.
Yes,
he's 1 year old. He came to us from Georgia, and he is available for adoption.
Got it.
Yep. So yeah, so summer is busy for all of us, right? And fireworks are coming up next week and are particularly scary for animals, dogs, and cats. So our general rule of thumb for our furry friends is the best places at home where they're safe and they're comfortable.
Right. Sure.
You know, and microchipping and collars with IDs. I know, Waylon.
Have you found success with those blankets, though, with those fireworks
yeah,
blankets?
Yep. So the thunder coats or the blankets are really good too. But you know, some animals are okay around fireworks, but really we don't want them to run off. You know, and shelters across the country see more stray animals come through their doors in that week surrounding 4th of July than any other time of the year.
Really?
Last year we saw 30 stray animals come through our doors 5 days after within 4th of July. So those are animals we want to be happy and healthy in their loving homes. So really microchipping, making sure they have ID, and making sure they're somewhere where they're safe and comfortable.
Making sure there are plenty of snacks.
Yes,
Always.
yes, yeah, we're doing a lot of training right now, yes.
Now, what's the good procedure to follow if you are a pet owner and your dog takes off or your cat takes off? Who do you call first?
Yeah, so you call your animal control officer first, and you call your local shelter. So every town in Maine contracts with a shelter. We contract with 14 in the greater Portland community. And you want to use tools like Maine Lost Dog Recovery on Facebook and posting flyers and, you know, making sure there are things outdoors that your animal it has your scent on it so your animal knows where home is, and searching for them as soon as possible. But again, the best place for them is home where they're safe indoors. As much as we want to include these guys in our festivities, that's not always fun for them like it's fun for us.
Sure.
Let me ask you something about the heat.
Yes.
So I have a dog, Cavapoo, kind of long hair, hair too. And we always wonder, is it better to cut the hair and have it be short, or is that insulating them and keeping them cool with the longer hair?
I mean, you definitely want to give them kind of a summer cut, and if you talk to a groomer, they'll probably advise that too.
Okay.
But again, days like today, we really want to limit the amount of time our animals have outdoors, right? Because it's hot. The pavement gets really hot, so let's choose dirt paths and grass paths over concrete paths or paved paths, making sure they have access to water and an air-conditioned cool spot indoors. You know, it's common sense, but it's good to remind folks that these guys have a fur coat on. So we're outside, we're really hot, it's 80 degrees. These guys are even hotter. And you know, leaving.
Real quick, Waylon is up for adoption?
Waylon is up for adoption. He's 1 year old. You can see he's very spunky, but he's very smart, and he will make a fantastic pet.
Very good.
Yeah,
We're gonna have
thanks
to
for
wrap it
having
there,
us.
but thank you so much.
Yep.
Thanks, Gina.
All right, we got to take a break.
Yes, and after this break, he's sharing that 4th of July forecast.
Yeah, has it changed, or are we still expecting a little rain over the weekend? We are back with some breaking news this evening. The Minot Fire Department has just confirmed to us that one person's been killed in a motorcycle crash on Route 4 in Turner. It happened near Wood Street. At least one motorcycle and another vehicle were involved in this.
The road is closed in the area and will remain so for quite some time. We do have a crew on the way to the scene, and we'll bring you the latest on air and online as we get it.
Now to politics. Of course, the first two Democratic debates are behind us now. 20 candidates in all over 2 nights. And this was in Miami less than a year now before a year and a half rather before the election.
And last night the candidates sparred over immigration, gun rights, race, and more. The question now, were the claims they made accurate? Jackie Puckett is here to verify.
Debate night 2. 10 more candidates on stage for 2 hours. Now that's a lot of claims. Make sure you check our website for an in-depth look at the candidates. But to save some time here, we're only addressing a claim from the top 3 candidates in the polls. Now Thursday, that was former VP Joe Biden, Senator Bernie Sanders, and Senator Kamala Harris. Biden up first, talking about climate change.
I would immediately join the Paris climate accord. I would up the ante in that accord, which it calls for, because we make up 15% of the problem.
The numbers vary slightly, but when talking about the U.S. contribution to worldwide emissions, Biden is right. A report from the Global Carbon Project shows the U.S. is responsible for 15% of all worldwide emissions. And a separate report by the World Resource Institute shows the U.S. responsible for 16% of greenhouse gas emissions since 1990. So claim verified. The U.S. is responsible for about 15% of emissions worldwide. Next, Bernie Sanders talking about the wealth gap in the U.S.
You have 3 people in this country owning more wealth than the bottom half of America.
This is true when you're talking about net worth. A study by the Institute for Policy Studies compared the net worths of Fortune 400 CEOs to the estimated worth of the total U.S. population. Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, and Warren Buffett had a combined net worth of nearly $350 billion. The bottom half of the U.S. came out to a net worth of about $250 billion. So yeah, when comparing net worth, 3 people do have more wealth than the bottom half of the American public. Verified. Finally, Senator Kamala Harris talking about Biden's past record.
And it was not only that, but you also worked with them to oppose busing.
This is true, but it needs a little context. In the early 70s, as a freshman senator, Biden had some warring views. He was anti-segregation, but also voted against legislation that would bus students from different districts to different schools to force integration. In 74, he said, quote, "I have become convinced that busing is a bankrupt concept." We can verify he did vote against busing programs. He now claims it was a state issue, not a federal one. Again, folks, a lot of claims Thursday. Some true, some false, some a bit of both. So make sure you check our website for a more full write-up. And if there's a question you want us to check out, send us an email. With your Verify, I'm Jason Puckett.
You guys want to verify my forecast? Can you write into Jason Puckett and see what he thinks
I was
of?
going to say, I don't have the credentials.
Mostly true, but not always.
I'm going to go with occasionally true.
Yeah. Goldberg took a shot at me at 3 in the morning the other day about that, and I was like, "We are right 89% of the time, day 2, and all these numbers." He's like, "Love ya."
He's still throwing you shade even though you're not on the same show.
He just misses me, I think.
He does.
The next week, I don't think we're going to get too many complaints about it.
Good.
We should be in good shape. Today was warm, hot.
Yeah,
it was hot, but we can't complain because we don't get this very often.
Nope. And like in the NWS Caribou trolled the other day, 108 days till the first measurable snow, or that ultimate troll move. I should get together with them. I think we could have a good relationship. 88 in Freiburg, 88 in Sanford, 87 in Lewiston, 84 in Augusta. Dew points are high, so it feels like 90 in a lot of spots. Right along the immediate ocean, not so much. Kittery Point 71, 72 in York, but that's comfortable. And flitting back and forth in Portland, we went 81, then down to 75, back up to 79. Now we're at 77. It's all about wind direction here. 78 in Bangor, down a few degrees after a shower came through there. And we do have a couple of showers and thunderstorms. You can see the axis of that is located over central Maine into the mid-coast. And that's where we've got one thunderstorm popping up right now to the southeast of Bangor, on the way just south of Ellsworth, and might actually just get into Acadia here in the next 25 or 30 minutes if it holds together. We've got a little bit of hail in a couple of these, but they've been very, very widely scattered. So tonight we are clear through most of the night. We go cloudy after midnight, couple of showers, maybe a rumble of thunder. And tomorrow is what we thought it was. It's an unstable, cloudy, showery, thunderstormy day. As I mentioned before, I am watching a little bit more closely now western and southwestern Maine for the potential for some severe storms. One round earlier in the day that could have some rotation. Second round in the afternoon that could have some bigger hail. So we'll keep an eye on that, and obviously we'll be on air, and if we need to, tomorrow afternoon. Sunday, the first half of the day is probably okay. Sunday afternoon, though, more showers and thunderstorms, and then we clear things out in time for Monday. And Monday actually looks really nice. Dew points temporarily suppressed, and temperatures in the mid and upper 70s. There's that severe weather risk. Storm Prediction Center agrees. Western Maine, New Hampshire, watch a couple of spinners coming out of the mountains tomorrow midday or so. But overall, the pattern looks really nice as we go into Wednesday, 4th of July, Friday after, and maybe into Saturday. So we're going to bite off a couple of nice, warm, humid days. You know, it's funny because we call this classic summer, yet classic implies we get it a lot. We don't really, but this is what we picture, right? A couple of showers maybe Tuesday afternoon, but I'd say from Monday to Friday afternoon, A lot of us will be dry.
Great.
So that's going to be a stretch. And I mean, timing is everything in life, and the timing for this is pretty tremendous. So, and we're going to talk more about the stats of where the summer or where the season lies so far, but we're obviously picking up a little ground in the temperature department over the next 10 days or so.
These are the vacation weeks when people from out of state come here. They question maybe not leaving.
Right.
You know,
Right.
this is how we get you.
That's how we have $700,000 condos in Portland. They
Right.
come on a day like today.
Exactly.
This is
Like, I'm never
amazing.
leaving. I think I know somebody on vacation next week, too.
Yeah, do you know
I
a
think
guy?
I know 2 people on vacation
Yeah,
next week.
sorry.
That's okay. I'll hold down the fort.
Okay, very good.
No mills. Gonna get done.
And I think Cindy's holding down the fort for New Center 5:30. What you got, Cindy?
I am, except I'm one of the ones on vacation.
Right.
this week, so
Right.
So make that
I have
3
not
people
checked
I know.
out just yet. We got a lot more news coming up for you on News Center at 5:30. Boy, it seems every time you go get your prescription, it gets more and more expensive, and that really depends on where you're going to get your prescription because prices vary greatly. Well, these 2 guys from Bangor have created a website to help you find the cheapest prices. It's really revolutionary. We'll tell you about it. And this dog went on a 14-month exploration. We'll talk with the family and find out how she survived on her own and how they managed to get her back home. Those stories and more coming up at 5:30. Back to you.
Ooh, that one sounds good.
It's like a real life Homeward Bound.
Right?
Love that movie. Aw. Stick with us. Raindrops when we come back.
All right. Raindrops today. This is interesting. I like to mess with people's perceptions of reality.
Of course
so
you do.
Year to date globally, 2019 is on track to be the 3rd warmest on record for the entire world, and we have 140 years on record. So that would continue the trend that we all know is happening. Blah blah blah. Let's not argue about it. But what's interesting, next graphic, is I asked people. People tweeted me and said, "Well, yeah, but Maine this year has been really really cool." Which, even if that were true, of course, doesn't circumvent the whole global climate. But what's interesting is I ran the stats from January 1st to today and ranked out our average temperature. And we're actually 25 out of 80.
Oh.
So we're in the top tier, top 3rd warmest years. So it's interesting because you would never guess that that's
No.
the case. What I think happened here was some of our cloudier days, which has really been what's happening in the spring and early summer, the cloudy days don't allow temperatures to fall much overnight. So even though we're not getting all that warm during the day, our overnight lows are above average.
Because they work like a blanket?
Yes,
Or they keep it in?
it insulates you, the clouds do. So it just drags the whole average up. And so even though your perception may be that we've been really, really cool this year, the stats actually tell us that we're in a top 33% kind of deal, and we still have half the year yet to go. So it's kind of interesting.
Very interesting.
People are shocked when I
You don't
hold
think
that
about
out.
those overnight temps. Sneaky, sneaky.
I think about them all the time.
Of course you do. News Center Maine at 5:30 starts now.